Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Johnny TCG video. I'm Johnny TCG. I'm excited to see you here today. Today we're taking a look back at one of my not favorite leaders. Folks, I can't even lie and say this is one of my favorite leaders. He's not one of my favorite leaders, but he's a very unique leader, and I gotta love a unique leader. Today we're taking a look at Starter Deck 10 Eustace Kid, a red-purple leader that released alongside Starter Deck 10 Red-Purple Law, who has now been banned, and then of course Starter Deck 10 Red-Purple Luffy, who is a fun off-meta deck at this point. Eustace Captain Kid, on the other hand, he is kind of the ugly duckling. He's gotten left behind. He got some new support in OP09 with a couple of interesting cards, but for the most part, no one's playing this deck, folks. It's not the strongest deck, but I definitely think he's a fun deck to give a shot. Play it every once in a while. I have fun with the deck list. Nothing really too serious. You're not going to take this to a big tournament, probably. I know I'm not. So I just like messing around with it. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Today we're going to do a deck profile. We're going to take a look at all the cards in this deck. Then we're going to do a giveaway for a custom leader card. You're going to want to stick around for that, of course. We're going to take this deck to the sim, see how it does, and then talk about it afterwards. If you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button. Let's get into the deck profile. For those that don't know, Eustace Captain Kid has two leader abilities. The first is that your turn, if you have 4 or more life cards, give this leader minus 1000 power. That makes the early turns sometimes kind of awkward because if you have 5 or 4 life cards, of course, you're going to be a 4000 power leader. You're going to have to either give Don to him to swing into your opponent's leader, or you're going to have to use his ability, which we'll talk about his other ability, which is when attacking Don -1, this leader gains plus 2000 power for the turn. Now this is a cool ability, folks, especially late in the game where you have plenty of Don to spare, or if you have a body like Charlotte Pudding or Eustace Captain Kid on the board, that can get you that Don right back. Late in the game, being able to swing 7s without investing any Don is really strong, and especially combining that with some of the other cards in this deck, like our 5-cost Killer. Probably should be running more of these. This is a great card in this deck and a great way to end the game. And then, of course, Punk Rotten 2, another card I like, which I'll talk about in a bit. Looking at the deck list, first we've got Otama, a 2k counter. That's basically all she does. She also has the ability of on play, give minus 2000 to one of your opponent's characters. Who doesn't love that, folks? It's an OP01 card that you've seen in a million deck lists by now. Next up, we have 2 copies of EB01 Kid and Killer, a 4-cost 5000 power rush body with the when attacking ability of if your opponent is at 2 life cards or less, give this character plus 2000 power till the end of the turn. This card was such a menace in Red-Purple Law, and he's still a menace in this deck. Of course, not quite to the level of Red-Purple Law menace, but still a really good card in this deck. A really nice aggro card. Unfortunately, though, in the Buggy matchup, he does get shut down, which I hate, but overall, I really like this card in this deck, too. You could probably bump him up to more, to be honest. Next up, we have 3 8-cost Monkey D Dragons, the 8-cost 9000 power rush card from OP07. He's got the on play of giving 2 rested Don to one of your characters or your leader. This is, of course, an amazing card, especially in any aggro deck, being able to throw an 8-9 body, then also use 2 Don that were rested. That's just amazing, folks. I really like him in this deck. He's one of my favorite cards. I can't sing his praises enough. Next, we're running 2 copies of the OP08 Secret Rare 8-cost 8000 power Silver's Rayleigh. He's got the on play of giving minus 3000 and minus 2000 to 2 of your opponent's characters, then popping one with a power level of 3000 or less. Now, this isn't as aggressive as a Dragon or Kid and Killer, of course, but he is just an amazing card that if it's a slower game, sometimes that is really important. A great way to kind of deal with some of your opponent's board, then also establish a solid body, 8-cost 8000 power. If you told me you didn't run him in your list, I wouldn't call you crazy. Sometimes I do debate whether or not another rush card might be better, but I think he's a great way to deal with board when sometimes your opponent's board is getting overwhelming. Next up, I'm running 1 copy of Goldie Roger, the 10-cost 13,000 power secret rare from OP09. He's got rush, and then he also has the ability of if you or your opponent are at 0 life, if your opponent activates a blocker, they lose the game. How amazing is that, folks? I only run 1 of him. He's not necessarily my win condition, but he's a fun card, an exciting card. I like to keep 1 of them in the deck. Next, we're running 2 Foxy Pirates cards. First up, we've got the Tony Chopper, the 2-cost 0 power blocker. This has the on play of if your board has equal to or less Don than your opponent, you get to ramp it Don as rested. I like playing him and searching him off of the 3-cost Porsche, 3-cost 5000 power, another Foxy Pirates card from OP07 as well. On play Don -1, you may look at the top 5 cards of your deck for a Foxy Pirates type character. This effect is good, but not super important, you know? Like, it's not necessarily the searching that I really like about her. It's her second ability that allows you to play up to 1 4000 power or less purple character from your hand. Not only do we often play out Tony Chopper, which will allow us to get back that Don that we just minused with Porsche, we could also play out our Charlotte Pudding. We could also play out our Mr. Tubon Clay. Are you picking up what I'm putting down, folks? We have a lot of options with this card. She doesn't have counter, which is definitely a bummer, but on 3 Don, being able to spam 2 bodies on the board, whether it's Porsche and Bon Clay or Porsche and Pudding, either way, I think that's a really good deal. So I'm going to leave her in the deck. I've been playing her for a while now, and I'm still a fan. I think some people have taken her out and gone a different direction, but I personally like her. Taking a look at Charlotte Pudding, she is a mini 5-cost useless Captain Kid blocker. She's 3 cost, 4,000 power with 1k of counter. She's got the ability of when a Don is returned from your field to your Don deck, you get to re-ramp a Don as rested. Not a lot to say about this, folks. This combos very nicely with our leader ability. When we use our leader ability to -1 Don to get plus 2,000 power, we bring it right back with Charlotte Pudding. I'm only running her as a 2-of though, just because on those early turns for 3 Don, I'd rather play Porsche. I'd probably rather play this 3-cost useless Captain Kid. If we're on the even curve, we can also go Mr. Tubon Clay. For those reasons, she's not always the most necessary card, and so I think she's fine at 2. Eustace Captain Kid, a nice support card this deck got in OP09, 3 cost, 5,000 power, no counter. That is such a bummer. Bandai, why did you not give him counter? Give him 1k of counter, at least it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. He's got the on play of take the top card of your life and add it to your hand. This is a good way to get down to 3 life, which you're going to need to do to be a 5,000 power leader on your turn. Then if your leader has the Kid Pirates type, add 1 Don from your Don deck as active. This is a great way to get your leader life down, which sometimes you want to do. And then, of course, also ramping a Don as active. Who doesn't love that? Next, we've got 4 Usohachi, folks. Not a lot to say about this card. It's in every purple deck, basically. Resting one of your opponents costs 5 or less characters is a great way to go for game. I don't want to spoil anything, but I think in one of the games I do use this and get the dub. Maybe I lose too. You'll have to stick around and see. That's all I got to say about this card, folks. Starter deck 18, Usohachi, a 2k counter. That's an absolute beast. Mr. Tubon Clay, the classic purple ramp card, 4 cost, 1,000 power, 1k of counter. You know the drill, folks. He lets you ramp a Don as active, then he copies one of your opponent's power levels on offense. Who doesn't love that? 4 of him, amazing card to cheat out with Porsche, and yeah, great ramp card in this deck as well. So one thing I found about this deck is that around the 5 and 6 Don range, I could use some more bodies. Right now, I'm running 2 of the 5 cost, 6,000 power useless Captain Kid blockers. Honestly, could bump him up because he is a really strong card. His ability is the same as Charlotte Pudding's, except you get that Don back as active. This synergizes perfectly with your leader ability, of course. A 5-6 blocker, solid stat line, and I definitely think I should consider running him at 3 or 4 and figure out what cards to take out. Next up, we have the 5 cost, 5,000 power Killer from OP09. This is a card I think I should definitely bump up to 4, maybe even bump down Eustace Captain Kid to like 3, just because this card is so good late game, folks. On play, Don -1, choose 1 leader with Kid Pirates typing, which of course we do have. Then you get to set it as active. Are you thinking what I'm thinking, folks? We're going to swing really big with our leader once. We'll restand him just like that I'm Invincible event for Green Uta. Restand him with Killer, then swing again. You can actually use your leader ability more than once in a turn, which is pretty crazy. Please note, folks, it doesn't say once per turn there. So when you restand him with Killer, you can actually use leader ability again, getting another plus 2,000 power. I mainly save this card for the late game and use it to go for game. Next up, just to have more 2Ks for the sake of having more 2Ks, we've got 6 cost, 6,000 power, 2K counter Sanji blocker from OP07. Now, he's a blocker that also has the ability of if you have 2 or more less Don than your opponent, you actually get to play him out for 3 cost. And for a deck that can return Don on a moment's notice, whether it be a character like Porsche, Killer, but even our leader that can do it every single turn, sometimes you will find yourself a little bit behind, and therefore you can cheat him out for 3 cost. Next up, we have 2 Divine Departures, an event from OP10. Activate main, you may rest 5 of your Don cards to pop an 8,000 power character. That's really strong. That's mostly why I like it, but then it also has the counter event as well, where you can rest the Don when you're countering with it, and then you get plus 3,000 power to your leader. I think that's pretty solid. That dual ability is one of the reasons why I'm using this and not maybe Honesty Impact or Gum Gum Mole Gun. I think the fact that I can use this in a desperate situation to keep my leader alive, I really like that, but I definitely see the argument for other removal cards like Honesty Impact and Gum Gum Mole Gun. Let me know what you think about this choice in the comments down below. Another counter event, we have Gum Gum Jet Gatling, the 0 cost 3000 power counter event from purple. You trash a card from your hand, your leader or one of your characters gets plus 3000 power, and then it also has the trigger to ramp you a Don, which can be huge for you depending on the situation. I'm running the When You're at Sea, You Fight Pirates search event because it lets you get Heart Pirates, it lets you get Straw Hats, and then also lets you get Kid Pirates. You only get to look at the top 3, which is a bummer, and hypothetically it could brick. But for the most part, it's really solid. We've got a lot of targets in this deck, and it also has a trigger, which is very nice, being able to use its ability for free. And then last but not least, we have my favorite card in the deck. It's Punk Rotten. Punk Rotten, a 2-cost event, Don -1, just up to one of your leaders or characters with the Kid Pirates type. Give it plus 5000 power. Folks, if you're thinking what I'm thinking, throwing this on your leader, giving your leader plus 5000 power, then using leader ability to get another plus 2000 power, you're a 12,000 power leader. Then setting your leader active again with Killer. Oof, that combo is diabolical, folks. That combo alone with Punk Rotten, Killer, and our leader ability, of course, is like the main reason I even bother playing this deck. I can't promise you great results with this deck, but I can promise you a great time. Maybe you'll have a bad time and you'll leave a bad comment like, Johnny, this deck stinks, blah, blah, blah. I'll still give the comment a like. I'll hear you out. I love the feedback. I love the criticism. Before we get into the gameplay though, I do have a giveaway for you folks, and if you're new to the channel, in just about every video we do a custom card giveaway. Today we're going to be giving away a custom red purple kid leader using art from the One Piece Treasure Cruise game. I am not the artist, I am not selling this. This is just a fun personal fan project of mine. All you have to do to enter the giveaway is 1, leave a like, and 2, leave a comment. If you've watched my videos before, you've heard this spiel before. This video gets 25 likes in the first 24 hours. I'll randomly choose a US-based commenter and send it to you completely free. That's all you have to do, folks, is 1, leave a like, and 2, leave a comment. If you want to make my day, if you want to make me smile, consider hitting that subscribe button as well. It's free, it's easy, it's painless, and you're ready for the gameplay, folks. So editor, roll the gameplay. Our first matchup of the day is going to be against a blue Buggy from OP09. Now, this should be an interesting matchup. If they can find that 7-cost promo Buggy, that is going to be pretty annoying for us because, of course, we do run a lot of 3 and 4-cost characters. Mr. Tuban Clay, Kid and Killer, our 3-cost Eustace, Captain Kid. That takes out a lot of our swings, folks. We do have that Monkey D. Dragon in our hand, though. Once we get to that, we'll be sitting pretty nicely. For our first turn, we'll simply do a search with the When You're at Sea, You Fight Pirates. We find Kid and Killer. I'm probably going to play him out sooner rather than later, just because I want to get some value from him, hopefully, even if he's not a 7,000 power body. They're going to start out with another search with a Mr. 3 Gaudino. They find the Cross Guild OP09 Searcher event. They're doing a ton of searching early on, trying to find the cards they need. Now they're going to do the Cross Guild Search event. 3 Don is usually an awkward turn for Buggy. Oftentimes you'll see a Sanji's Pilaf. You'll also see searches like these. Now they're going to swing 6,000 at us, and we will happily take that. We find the Porsche, which is good. As long as they don't have that 7-cost Buggy, of course. I'm thinking here we play Porsche into the Mr. 2 Bon Clay. Charlotte Pudding's not a bad idea either. I like the idea of getting value instantly, though, with the Mr. 2 Bon Clay. Off the Porsche search, we do not find our Tony Chopper. That is perfectly fine. We're going to set that Goldie Roger at the top of our deck. Now we can play the Mr. 2 Bon Clay, which will ramp us a Don, and then we can swing 7,000 or... do I use leader ability here? I don't think I want to use leader ability here because I want to get to that Monkey D. Dragon as soon as possible. We're just going to swing for 6,000 and they will take that going down to 4 life. Is there a trigger? A trigger could be pretty rough, especially like a Sables. Yep, they have the Sables trigger. Folks, who are they going to send back? They are going to send back the Porsche, which definitely surprised me a little bit at first. But when I remember that they will probably have that 7-cost Buggy, it makes a lot more sense. The Porsche does not have any counter, so if they sent that Bon Clay back to our hand, I at least could use it as counter or as ramp. Either way, that's not something they'd really like. They're going to play on the 8-cost Croc and Mihawk using leader ability here. They're going to be able to cheat out another body, a 4-cost body, and they'll cheat out the Elvito, which lets them draw 3, trash 2. Surprised that they went with this after... bouncing back the Porsche and not the Mr. 2 Bon Clay, because now Mr. 2 Bon Clay is going to be able to copy the 8-cost Croc and Mihawk. So yeah, I'm not sure that was necessarily a misplay because they did get to flood their board and protect their board with Croc and Mihawk's ability. But at the same time, now I get a 7,000 power swing with that Mr. 2 Bon Clay. I'm leaning towards countering out of this swing and not going down to 3 life. They're going to be able to flood the board quickly and attack into us with a lot of swings, so that's why I'm like, maybe should I counter out of this? I only have 1k of counter in my hand, which is pretty crazy, but I will use it there. And they'll pass it back to us. We do draw the Usohachi 2k counter out of deck. That is pretty
solid. Now we'll start with the 7,000 power swing from our Mr. Tube on Clay. Should I do another push play? No, I'm actually going to go with the Eustace Captain Kidd to ramp again to get us to 7, even though that ramp isn't necessarily super helpful. Now I'm at 4 and can cheat out the Kid and Killer if I'd really like to apply pressure this turn, swinging again with our leader and the Kid and Killer. I could swing with leader and use leader ability and then still be okay to play dragon next turn because I'll still be at 8 down, which is great. They take that hit, great for us. Now we can play down the Kid and Killer. There's definitely an argument to maybe play out the Tony Chopper and establish a blocker, but I think that playing out the Kid and Killer makes a little bit of sense just to continue to apply pressure. Now they do have a ton of cards in hand, so they could be countering out of these attacks. I'm assuming that they just want to draw a ton of cards and have a lot of counter in hand to protect their board. They're going to use leader ability right away, play down that 7 cost Buggy, which will allow them to cheat out another body as well. That 7 cost and it's possible for them to establish the 10 cost Buggy this turn and bottom deck my dragon. They'll start by establishing the Moji blocker that gets +1 cost. They are officially in 10 cost Buggy range, and they will not play it, which really surprises me. They're going to play out this 6 cost Mihawk blocker instead. There's a chance we do win this following turn, ladies and gentlemen. We can use Usohachi to rest the Moji, swing into life with Dragon. If they block that, then we swing really big with leader. We'll see, though. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Now they'll swing 5,000 with their leader. I'm thinking here we 1k with the Mr. Tube on Clay. After this, we do have 4k of counter in our hand, which isn't necessarily a ton. 5,000 with their Alvida, and we will 1k counter out of that with our other Bon Clay. Now 7,000 at our life, and we will take that. We get the 2k 2k counter Sanji blocker. Oh my god. Folks, you can let me know in the comments that I'm absolutely crazy. I think here we just go for it. It's a little bit risky, but why not? Let's live a little bit. I don't know if I'll necessarily be able to survive the next turn. Probably we would be able to, but I don't know. Maybe I'm pushing it a little bit, folks. Let's see. We can start out with a big swing with Monkey D. Dragon that hopefully they will block. I'm thinking we give Dragon maybe just 2 Dawn. That would be the move. It would be really nice if we had the, I believe it's the killer that lets us restand our leader. 11,000 into their blocker. Dracula Mihawk, are they going to block and counter out of this? They will not. I was scared for a moment because if they did that, they are almost guaranteed to lose. Now it's time for the double Punk Rotten. This is absurd. We can do that, then use leader ability to swing 17,000 into their leader. They've got a decent amount of cards in hand, but not enough to get out of this giant swing, folks. 17,000 into face. Let's go. GG's. That was kind of crazy. I don't know if I've ever done a double Punk Rotten before, but there's a first for everything. Now let's get into another game. Our next game is going to be against Red Green Oden, a leader from EBO1 that isn't quite meta, but is definitely one of the best off-meta leaders in the game, in my opinion. We are going to be going second. That's fine with us. We have a pretty solid hand. We can start out with the 3 cost Kid into the 5 cost Kid into the 8 cost Rayleigh. I like that idea. We draw the Divine Departure, help us get rid of an annoying body. They're going to search with the Momonosuke and pass it back to us, playing a 2 cost Rosinante blocker, maybe to protect that Momonosuke. I'm going to play down the 3 cost Eustace Captain Kidd to ramp it on and take the top card of my life. Now we're down to 3 life. I'm going to swing into the Momonosuke here, even though they will probably block with Rosinante. Swing 6,000. I didn't find the need to swing 7,000. I'll leave a Don up just for Divine Departure. Not that I think I'd actually use it, but I'll just keep it up, I guess. 5 Don for them to work with. A 5 cost Rush Luffy would have gone really good here. They will have the 5 cost Izo after playing that off the Hiyori. That's a really strong combo. Now they're going to swing for 7,000. I've kind of got to take that as well, unless I want to give a lot of counter for my hand. 7 Don for us to work with here. Does it make more sense to play down the 5 cost Kid or the Divine Departure? The Divine Departure will allow me to get rid of the Izo. Izo so strong in this matchup, so strong in any matchup. It's one of Red Green Oden's best cards in general. I'm thinking here we play down the Eustace Captain Kid and the Tony Chopper. Before we play down the Tony Chopper, we can swing with our leader using leader ability, get to 7,000 power, use Eustace Captain Kid, the 5 cost ability to get a Don as active. 3 Don left up. I can give a Don to our 3 cost Eustace Captain Kid and swing 6,000 into their leader. I'm happy to be able to apply a lot of pressure this turn, and then I'll play down the 2 cost Tony Chopper blocker. They will have the Hody Jones, which is pretty scary right now. They're going to be able to rest both of my blockers and probably potentially go for game, or maybe they'll clear my board. 8,000 into 6,000 Hody into our 6,000 power Eustace Captain Kid. I'm definitely debating keeping him alive by countering out of this attack. Feels bad. I'm going to have to give up a ton of counter from my hand, and I think I'm doing the math right now, and there's no way I'm going to be able to keep it alive through all these swings. I accidentally counter and then let it go, throwing out a 2K. That feels absolutely horrible. We get the 0 cost event out of life. We decide not to do the trigger to ramp 1. Yeah, that feels rough, folks. The question now is, do I go Rayleigh or Monkey D. Dragon? Both of those have their pros and cons. Rayleigh's a little bit slower, of course, but I'm going to be able to give minus 3,000 to Hody, minus 2,000 to Izo, and then pop their Nami that gives their a Don to their leader. Now I'm going to swing 7,000 into their Izo. Hopefully they let it go. They will not. They're going to be able to use Izo's ability and then use a 2K counter to get out of that. I'll leave 1 Don up for Divine Departure. This is going to be a rough turn. Luckily, those characters are decreased power because of our Rayleigh. We're going to counter out of that first swing. 7,000 now with their leader. I'm thinking here we take this and bait them into going all in with Hody, throwing all their down on Hody. We should be able to get out of that attack. We've got a ton of 2Ks in hand. We've got the Divine Departure. We've got the 0 cost counter event. They're going to do just that. 13,000 into our life. We are going to be able to get out of that with a couple of 2Ks and some events. Now the question is, will I be able to get game here? I think I will between the Rayleigh, Dragon, and our leader. I'm going to start with an 8,000 power swing with Rayleigh, which becomes a 6,000 power swing due to their Izo ability. I completely forgot about that, actually, so now I'm kind of beating myself up a little bit. We're going to give 2 Don to Dragon using Dragon's ability, swing 11,000 into their life. They take that, and it's time for the old Punk Rotten, folks. This is like Purple's version or Eustace Captain Kid's version of Hody Jones, where just throw that in at the last second and use it and win the game. Except we don't win the game. They are able to counter out of that. I am going to concede because that's game. What a bummer. Really close game. That was a really fun one. I did not have a great feeling about going into Red Green Oden just because that deck is legit. But it is what it is. Got to show the wins and the losses. Now let's get into our next game, folks. This one's going to be against Blue Purple Luffy, and I actually think we have a decent shot into Blue Purple Luffy. I mean, not an amazing shot, I wouldn't say that, but we can be hyper aggressive, especially with our leader ability, allowing us to reach that 6,000 power leader power of a BP Luffy. I think that we got some potential to win this game. On our first turn, we can do an event searcher. We find the OP07 2K counter Sanji, and then we'll pass it back to them with 2 down to work with. Our opening hand, I wouldn't say is amazing, but I wouldn't say it's terrible either. We can start off this turn by playing Charlotte Pudding, then using a leader ability, swing 6,000 into them, and get that Don right back with her. That's good news for us. 6,000 into 6,000. I imagine they'll counter out of this. I wouldn't be too surprised. They'll give us the Usohachi 2K. Now that does surprise me. I wonder if this player might be a little bit inexperienced. I don't know, folks. Maybe I'm being too harsh. That just feels like really dramatic to get rid of an Usohachi 2K right away. But maybe they're nervous about the aggressiveness of Red Purple Kid. Now for 3 Don, they're going to play Zoro Joro, swing 7,000 at us, and we will take that, getting the 2K Otama. No amazing plays right now for 5 Don. I do not like that for us. We could do double chopper, which isn't a terrible idea. It's certainly not ideal for me. Now I'm thinking we give 1 Don to our leader and then use leader ability to swing. I definitely didn't need to play both of those out when I'm swinging. If anything, that's the wrong play, but I don't know. I don't think it really matters too much. If they get a Gravity Blade Raging Tiger trigger or a Red Rock trigger and they want a bottom deck one, it is what it is. I think I'd even rather have the Charlotte Pudding on the field. So if they wanted to bottom deck one of my blockers, not a huge deal. They're going to start off with a 5,000 power Zoro Joro swing into us. They'll use gear 2 to ramp a Don as rested, then give 1 Don to their leader. Scratch that, make it 2, make it 3. Now they're going to swing 9,000 into us, and that is an easy block. 7 Don for us to work with. I'm thinking here we go with the 4-cost Kid Killer and apply a lot of pressure. I can swing first with Charlotte Pudding into the Zoro Joro. There's definitely something to be said about the ordering here and just about how much I should swing above that Zoro Joro. So I need to be mindful of that. I'm thinking here I swing 5,000. If they want to keep the Zoro Joro alive, they're going to have to give me a 2k counter. And if they want to give me a 2k counter out of hand, that is good for me. Trying to deplete their resources as much as possible so that late game we can put a lot of pressure on them. They'll be smart. They won't give us a 2k counter. Now we're going to swing 8,000 with our leader using leader ability and getting a Don back from our Charlotte Pudding. They're at 2 life right now, 5 cards in hand. We could see a counter here. I think that's what they're debating. Probably don't want to go down to 1 life, and that is correct. They'll use the 0-cost counter event. They'll trash a Charlotte Pudding from their hand, which is good. I mean, I don't have a really big hand size, so I don't know how effective that Charlotte Pudding would have been at this point, but good to get that out of their hand anyway. 8 Don for them to work with. They can start using leader ability. They do reveal and draw the OP07 2k counter Sanji. Now they're going to be able to draw 1 for turn, ramp 2 Don for turn, and they are at 10 Don, which could get pretty awkward, folks. That 8-cost blue OP11 secret rare Monkey D. Luffy would go hard here, and would you look at that, they do in fact have it. They're going to probably bounce back the Kid Killer to hand or Tony Chopper. I think it would make more sense to bounce the Kid Killer back to hand. I don't think you could go wrong either way. I actually probably would have swung into the Kid Killer. I think that makes more sense to me. 8,000 into the Charlotte Pudding. Of course, we're going to let this go. Tempting to keep it alive, though. Would that be crazy, folks? Would that be too crazy for me to keep it alive? No, of course. I'm going to let this one go. No way I'm going to counter out of that, even though I had the devil on my shoulder telling me to. They're going to have 2 Don on their leader, swing 8,000 into our Kid Killer. I am going to counter out of this just because I really want to keep this Kid Killer alive. Going to be a 7,000 power base swing on my turn to apply a lot of pressure on them with no Don committed. That's great for us. Now, we could even like hypothetically go for game here. All right, not really. The chances we actually go for game here, very slim. I think we should at least try to get this Monkey D. Luffy off the board. My thought process here is that maybe I should swing into life and bait them into using a counter event like Gum Gum Giant or Gear 2. Then maybe I swing into the Luffy with my leader, or I just continue to pressure life. 9,000 and a 6,000, they are going to take that. Now, unfortunately, they are going to get a trigger. I was kind of surprised they took that, but they did get a very nice trigger for themselves right now. They got the Gum Gum Red Rock to bottom deck my Kid Killer. Not the biggest deal in the world. Here, I'm thinking maybe I do Punk Rotten and then Killer to restand my leader. I wish I could save that for the next turn, though, so that's why I'm kind of hesitating. That's such a strong combo, but usually I prefer to do that as my finishing move. We're going to do Punk Rotten, though. We'll give our leader plus 5,000 power. The question is, do I want to play Killer 2? I'm just going to go straight into life, 12,000 into 6,000, see if they have anything to get out of this. Maybe I even just play down the Tony Chopper blocker and survive 1 turn. They will have the Gum Gum Giant. They're going to get to 10,000. They'll have to trash a card, and then they'll draw 2. Do they have more counter in their hand? That's the question. They will have a 2k and they'll have a 1k. Now only 1 card in hand, and this is the perfect opportunity for me to play Killer and then restand my leader. I can swing big into their Monkey D. Luffy and guarantee that it leaves the board. I can swing 12,000. I don't have to use leader ability there, and that Luffy goes bye-bye. I'm in a pretty good position now. They're going to have 3 cards in hand after using leader ability and drawing a card for turn, which it's crazy they go from 1 to 3 like that. But we are in a decent spot. They do need a blocker, and they will find a blocker with that OP07 Sanji that they draw off leader ability, but we'll see if that's what they go with. It is a 2k counter. I think a 9-cost Lilin here would actually be amazing for them, being able to put Killer to my life and then heal themselves and gain a body. They'll go with the 8 cost Katakuri though. That's a solid play for them, but it's not perfect. 7,000 now into our leader. We'll take that and we get the perfect card for this situation. We get a Kidding Killer. We're going to be able to apply a decent amount of pressure this turn. The question is, what kind of cards do they have in hand? We know one of them is a 2K. Do they have a Gear 2 or a Gum Gum Giant? That's the real question. We're going to start out with a 6,000 power swing into their life. Hopefully they don't have a 1K counter, but if they do, we'll see. If they do, maybe they give us a 2K counter and we know it's that Sanji. They give us the Sanji. Now I'm thinking that we go Kidding Killer and then Tony Chopper here. We won't invest any Don in this Kidding Killer swing. We're just going to swing 7,000 with him. 7,000 into 6,000. Do they have the counter for it? Do they have a 2K or a counter event? And they will. They're going to use their Gear 2 there, get up to 9,000. Now I can swing big with my leader and they'll have to take this or give us the Charlotte Katakuri, which is cool. We're going to start out. Does it make sense to play Porsche? I mean, if we don't play Porsche, we can swing 8,000 with our leader ability and a Don, and that's what I'm going to do. I almost play Porsche into Tony Chopper, but I need to get to 8,000 so that they can't free block with Katakuri. 8,000, they will take that. They won't let that Katakuri die. We play down the Tony Chopper blocker, and I think we're in a decent spot. We've got a lot of counter in hand between 2 0 cost counter events and then the 2K counter Otama. They're going to draw the 9 cost secret rare Sanji off of their leader ability, and depending on what they have, this could actually get pretty awkward for us. A Gravity Blade Raging Tiger would be amazing for them. A 9 cost Lilin would be really strong, but not unbearably strong. We'll see if they can go Sanji into Lilin, or if they have another plan, maybe Sanji into Nami. They're going to start off with a 6,000 power leader swing into our life. I am thinking we counter out of this. Or maybe do we block it? Ooh, decisions, folks. I might be risky and let the attack go through. We get a Monkey D. Dragon, which is huge for us. If they have another 8 cost secret rare Luffy, that will be able to apply a lot of pressure on us, being able to bounce back the Tony Chopper to our hand. But of course, we do have plenty of counter in our hand. They will go 9 cost Sanji into the 9 cost secret rare Monkey D. Luffy. That, of course, will be able to rush us, but I'm not too afraid of it. I think we're still in a very good spot. Now they're going to swing 8,000 with Katakuri into our killer, 8,000 into 5,000. It makes sense here for me to counter out of this. I want to save my Tony Chopper blocker for their 9 cost Luffy swing. So here I can 0 cost counter event, maybe trash the Porsche, and then use the 2K counter Otama. Not going to get rid of that dragon, and of course going to keep that other 0 cost counter event in our hand. Now they're going to have a 10,000 power Luffy swing, which we will be able to just block with Tony Chopper. I have my finger on the trigger. I'm ready to hit that block button. They'll go into Kidding Killer, and of course I'll block with Tony Chopper. Now they'll pass it back to me. We can play the dragon. We could also just divvy up our Don. They forgot to restand their Katakuri, but it doesn't matter even if they did. We do have that one in the bag. We could have swung 7-7 and big numbers. Big numbers, folks. We had that one. They made a little bit of a misplay and conceded, but we had that one in the bag. GG's, though. That was kind of like my hypothesis that Red Purple Kid can apply a lot of pressure to Blue Purple Luffy. It did help that they didn't see their 9 cost Sanji right away into Charlotte Linlin, but it be like that sometimes.
Ladies and gentlemen, those are the games I got for you today. Well, what did you think about them? As you can tell, it is dark outside. It is late at night. I am trying to go to bed, so I'll keep this short. Let me know what you think about this leader in the comments down below. I definitely didn't cook, you know. This deck list might be a little bit janky, but it's a fun one nonetheless, at least in my eyes. If you made it this far in the video, consider hitting that subscribe button. If you made it this far, you're an absolute real one. If you like the channel, if you like you know what I'm trying to say, folks. It is late and I am tired out here. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. This has been a Johnny TCG video. Peace. Red Purple Kid. Take them to locals. Have a great time.